Hey everybody, I'm Jill Redfern and welcome to Third Shift Movement Shop, home of literal technique. In this tutorial, I'm going to talk about the muscles that move the humerus. In literal technique's group of 12 muscles, there are 2 muscles that have a primary function of moving the humerus, and those muscles are the Latissimi Dorsi and the Pectoralis Majors. I've got 2 introductory videos to those muscles, so please check them out if you're not familiar with the anatomy of the muscles, and I will link them in the description for you. So let's take a look at the pec majors and the lats so that you can see how they're connected to the humerus. First, the pec majors. The pec majors originate in 4 places. The first is this half of the collarbone. The second is the manubrium and the body of the sternum. The third are the costal cartilage of ribs 1 through 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can see maybe the clear plastic here on skeleton. That's the cartilage. And the 4th place is here where is at the aponeurosis of the external obliques, which are one of the 4 abdominals. Collarbone and manubrium are the 2 of the bones of the shoulder girdle. Okay, looking at the lats originate in 5 places. The bottom angle of the scapula, T7 through T12, which are the thoracic vertebrae themselves, and they originate right on the spinous processes, which is a bony projection at the very center of the vertebrae. So if we're here at 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7 through 12, they originate right down the center of the vertebrae. Ribs 9 through 12, this third of the iliac crest is number 4, and the 5th is the thoracolumbar fascia, the TLF. That is at this part of the body a sort of a diamond-shaped fascia that's a connection site for lots of muscles, and it originates directly from the lumbar and the sacral vertebrae. So the lats are connected down into the pelvic barrel. The pec majors connect all of these muscle fibers, insert at the bicipital groove in the humerus. You can find that in your own humerus. You can find this ridge. It's like a little indentation. That's the bicipital groove. All of the fibers of the pec majors, wherever they've originated from, are going to come toward here in one insertion point. Same thing happens with the lats. The lats, all of these muscle fibers actually sweep up and twist, and they connect at the bicipital groove as well underneath the insertion point of the pec majors. So these 2 muscles insert right here on the front at the top of the humerus. The scapula, which is one of the origination points for the lats, is one of the bones of the shoulder girdle. So we've now got the 3 bones of the shoulder girdle with muscle attachment. What that means is we now have muscle connecting the humerus to the rest of the body. We were talking about how its only connection was here at the manubrium. But in fact, the muscle connections on the bones connect the humerus to a much deeper place in the body than just the manubrium. They connect the humerus to our central fusion because, if you remember, the lats and the pec majors are 2 of the 7 muscles central to our alignment. And those muscles simultaneously and jointly support the 33 vertebrae, the central bones. So what we've now got with just 2 muscles, the humerus is now connected down into the pelvic barrel, into the rib cage barrel at a much bigger point than just the manubrium. And while we may want to think about the collarbone when we think about alignment of the shoulder girdle, we're now using muscle to also participate in maintaining that alignment. If the collarbones will move the scapula around, the pec majors will move the collarbones around. So we have now a much more complicated but a much deeper place of where the humerus is moving from. When we add in the other 5 central muscles, besides the pec majors and the lats, we have the 4 abdominals, which are the 2 obliques, rectus ab and transversus abdominis. We also have the erector spinae, which is the last of the 7 muscles central to our alignment. The humerus, because of its connections it begins, the lats and the pecs both connect to the externals. The externals anchor the rib cage barrel down into the pelvic barrel. The externals and the lats interdigitate at ribs 9 through 12, which also anchors the shoulder girdle down into the pelvic barrel. So we now have the shoulder girdle anchored down into this deeper part of the torso with muscle connection that now makes the humerus part of our central fusion. I have a tutorial called Fusion and Central Fusion, which talks about the concept of the fusion body in literal technique. One of the things that I believe is necessary for us to mature as dancers is to get out of thinking about the body in parts. If I can just tweak this part of my ribcage barrel, my back will stop arching and I'll find alignment. Alignment comes from a much more centrally fused place than that. And now we've added the arm. The humerus is now added to that central fusion. That expands the concept of where fusion is in the body. And it means we're now moving the arms from our central fusion. In your class this week, see if you can conceptualize all of these bones and muscles and all of the connections that they have. Check out the tutorials on the anatomy so that you can get a clear understanding of where bones and muscles are connecting in the body. And when you do port de bras in your class this week, remember that it's coming from deep down into the depths and the thickness and the 360-degree fusion body. All right, I'll see you next week.